A few weeks ago I showed a graph of the vaccination rates for MMR of each of the country's DHBs. This graph did not match the numbers we've been told by the media or the Ministry of Health. In the weeks leading up to the video, we were constantly being reminded that our vaccination rates for MMR were low and we all needed to catch up. But within 48 hours of the video, the narrative from the health officials changed. Now, I'm not taking credit for that, but someone was in damage control following the video. Nikki Turner was now saying it was not the anti-vaxxers' fault, but that of the Ministry of Health for not running a tighter ship. Helen Pertusis-Harris wrote an article explaining how the vaccinated were able to contract measles. A short article, but one I'm sure she would have almost choked on her tongue having to write. And then Carmel Ellis from Counties Manukau DHB, saying that yes, Counties Manukau DHB MMR vaccination rates were well above the 95% the Ministry of Health were wanting. Yet they, along with Auckland DHB, both have the highest infection rate in our highest vaccinated regions. But amongst the comments on the video was this from Theo Brandt, the communications manager from IMAC, or the Immunisation Advisory Centre, the person responsible for driving an organisation's message, and the person who has to deal with PR disasters. Now, I made a follow-up video to the measles video explaining the conversation taking place between Theo and myself in the comment section on YouTube. Theo began questioning the validity of the data, even though he knows exactly where it came from. Yet, Theo wasn't interested in the parts of the video that showed Helen Pertusis-Harris openly, well, let's just call it what it is, lying on national radio about aborted fetal cells being used in vaccines. Nor did Theo seem worried that his boss had openly misled a government health select committee earlier that year, as if it was a common and acceptable practice from IMAC employees. No, he just wanted to discredit the data, even though IMAC and the Ministry of Health story had changed to support the data in the graph. Theo even began to agree that the data was correct, but by the end, all he could say was the title was incorrect. Really? Is that all you've got, Theo? Or shall I call you Miss Daisy? Well, Miss Daisy, you and a few others got caught with your pants down. So it's time to put on your big boy pants. Time to strap in, Theo. This will get more than your goat. Shortly, I'm going to show you a series of graphs, a PDF, and a slide from a Ministry of Health presentation, all legally obtained from the Ministry of Health via Official Information Act requests. What I'm about to share with you not only backs up the graph from the measles video, but it also shows that while the Ministry of Health want you to believe that 1 + 1 = 2, with the data that they show you, when you begin to look at all of the data, and I mean all of the data that they gave out, you'll see that they're treating you as if you have the mental capacity of 1 + 1 = potato. Let me explain. On September the 2nd, 2009, Dr. Shane Reddy posted a question to Associate Health Minister Julianne Genter in Parliament. The question was, what is the trend in MMR vaccination in the past 10 years listed by year? Associate Health Minister Julianne Genter replied, based on the available National Immunisation Register data, MMR coverage for dose 1 and dose 2 is shown for each yearly cohort of children born respectively, from 2006 to 2016 and from 2006 to 2013. The cohorts of children born during 2016 and 2013 were still completing the first and second dose, scheduled to be given at 15 months and 4 years of age, respectively, in 2019 when this data was extracted. And this is the table she presented that you can download. But this graph is data from the Ministry of Health website for MMR dose 1 coverage by birth cohort, the year they were born. And you can pause this and follow the link to see the Ministry of Health website, but it doesn't match the numbers given out by the Associate Health Minister when she replied to Dr. Shane Reddy. Here's an easier way to look at it. In purple, we have the data from the Ministry of Health website, and in blue, the data presented by the Associate Health Minister. Why the difference? But here's where things get really interesting. This document, Progress Towards Measles and Rubella Elimination in New Zealand 2018, a document that our Ministry of Health put together for the Western Pacific Regional Verification Commission for Measles and Rubella Elimination, again obtained legally through an Official Information Act request. We scroll down to Section 4, MMR immunisation coverage and population immunity. In Section 4.2.1, National Coverage, we read that on April 22, 2018, MMR coverage of dose 1 for those born in 2015 is 94.4%, and dose 2 for those born in 2012 is 92.3%. Hang on, that's not what Julianne Genter said in Parliament, or the data provided to her by the Ministry of Health. She said one dose for the 2015 cohort was 92.4, and the dose for those in the 2012 cohort was 88%. Why would the Ministry of Health be giving out different sets of numbers? And if we keep scrolling down to 4.2.2, coverage by DHB, we see this table presented to the World Health Organization. I wonder where we've seen figures similar to this before. 1 dose and 2 dose. Ringing any bells, Theo Brand? They look very similar to the numbers in a previous video, don't they? And you had the audacity to say what I produced is just plain wrong and deceptive. Really, Miss Daisy? Don't throw stones when you live in a glasshouse, Theo. Never ends well. I even advised you in the comments on that video, Theo, that Carmel Ellis can tell you the vaccination rates by ethnicity, because they just happen to be in the same document as well. Our Pacific Island community are leading the way with MMR coverage. I wonder who out there wants to do an Official Information Act request to get the counties Manukau and Auckland DHB breakdowns on ethnicity with the highest infection rate. I think we already know the answer to that. And how about this? Here's a slide from a presentation by Dr. Tom Kederinsky, and I apologise if I butchered that. But Dr. Tom is the Principal Advisor, Communicable Diseases to the Ministry of Health, discussing measles elimination in New Zealand. And we get to a slide on MMR coverage by birth cohort and dose as on August 2014. But Dr. Tom's data doesn't match the World Health Organization's, or the Associate Health Ministers, or the Ministry of Health website. Where is Dr. Tom getting his numbers? Could it be from the National Immunisation Register? Nope, doesn't match that either. We have the Ministry of Health website data. We've then got the numbers tabled in Parliament, and they don't match. Then you throw in the figures given to the World Health Organization. They don't match anything either. But for a good measure, let's add in the figures from the National Immunisation Register. So who the hell knows where Dr. Tom got his numbers? But one thing's for sure, the Ministry of Health want you to believe that 1 + 1 = potato. The bottom line is that all sets of data, including the National Immunisation Register, are from the Ministry of Health. It appears that there's a multitude of sets, depending on the audience they want to present to. Think of it this way. You've got 3 sets of financial accounts. There's the set for the bank, then there's the set you show IRD, and finally, the real accounts. It appears that when it comes to vaccination rates, the Ministry of Health operate at least 3 sets of accounts. There's a set to shame the public and medical system into doing better. There's a set to convince the World Health Organization that they're doing a great job. And then there's the real set. All 3 sets come from the National Immunisation Register. And it all comes from one source, the Ministry of Health. Or should we rename them the Ministry of Stealth? Just imagine if a business in trouble presented a plethora of sets of accounts to their auditors. Perhaps it's time for a formal inquiry into how the Ministry of Health and its paid servants, IMAC, manipulate the data for its own ends. And people wonder why we question the Ministry of Health and our government over vaccines. Our Prime Minister often talks about her government being transparent. Well, the Ministry of Health looks like a great place to get started, Jacinda. Good luck with your vaccines, folks.